Bruce Feldman, not surprised by this because I heard him earlier today saying that the clock was ticking loudly for Clay Helton. Bruce, thanks for the time. Know it's a busy afternoon. Just give us your impressions from what happened late Saturday to what happened just about an hour ago.
Paul, I'm told the USC leadership, Mike Bohn, the AD there, were just, I don't want to use the word disgusted because I think that might be too strong of a word, but disheartened, really frustrated. And I think what they saw when USC was at home Saturday night and got absolutely blown off the field by a Stanford team that quite honestly looked awful the week before against K-State. And I don't want to say they were incredulous watching that. I think the fans were disgusted. The fans flocked out of the Coliseum. And I think it really became untenable because the reality with Clay Helton, and look, I feel like we always have to preface this with Clay Helton because he's a genuinely decent man, and there's a lot of people respect him as a man. And quite honestly, after a lot of that tumult, as you kind of outlined in the USC, recent history of a decade of it, they needed somebody they thought was a stable adult to kind of take over the program. And he was that, and he did some really good things. But from around 2018, which is quite a while ago, he's been really on the hot seat. He had one really bad year, and that made his recruiting much harder to get people to buy in when players are always thinking, this guy's not going to be here very long. And coaches at other schools were making that case. And you just never got the sense that what is it going to take for him to really get off the hot seat? Probably not winning a Pac-12 title is not going to do it. He'd have to win a national title just to do it. And they're nowhere close to that. One of the things I've heard from a lot of people who worked in the program has been this is a Monday through Friday issue, that they don't practice physically, that there's just a softness about the program. He had bought in on the air raid a few years back and hired Graham Harrell. And there's a lot of people there who feel like that he just kind of let that take over the program, and that's how they practiced. And you saw just a program that didn't seem entirely that competitive, where they have enough talent. They have as much talent probably as anybody on the Pac-12. So they're good enough to win a lot of games and go win 8 or 9 games. But at this point, I think USC leadership was like, we need to fire him now. Because if he goes on a run and ends up 8-4, 9-3, people are going to be like, are you going to keep him or you're not going to keep him? They just ripped the Band-Aid off this morning and just said, we got to make a change. We can't keep doing this.
Wow. Bruce Feldman with us. Bruce, what's next?
There's a lot of USC people right now who are very intrigued with Mario Cristobal, by the way, who just happened to pull off the biggest win in his career over the weekend. They smashed Ohio State in Columbus. They were way more physical, and they did it, by the way, without the best player in the program, Kayvon Thibodeau, and without Justin Flo, another 5-star. By the way, both those guys are from down here in Southern California that Mario Cristobal recruited away. He's beaten them last year to win a Pac-12 championship. He's won a Rose Bowl. Your listeners know him well because he took part of the Nick Saban blueprint of how to recruit from his time in Tuscaloosa and brought it to the Pacific Northwest, and he's done really well with it. The question is, would he be tempted to leave a very good situation? He's got that thing rolling now. I mean, and here's the thing that I think is really good for Mario Cristobal is he has put together a terrific staff. I think they out-coached Ohio State as much as they out-competed them and out-physicaled them. And I think there's a lot of people who have their eyes wide open to him now. And again, as I said, he has out-recruited USC in a big way in their own backyard. So there's a lot of stuff that I think will really interest a lot of influential USC people to say, hey, that's the guy we should have, not the guy who wanted to run the air raid. We want the guy who's like the bully of the Pac-12. We want that guy.
Mario Cristobal is scheduled to be a guest here Tuesday afternoon. On him, Bruce, what would it take to get him to make that move?
I think it would take, obviously, a lot of money. I think it would take a lot of commitment in terms of look, what Oregon has done where he's been there, I think they had success not that long ago, certainly with Chip Kelly. And I think he's done it a different way in terms of what the identity of that program is. But I think you have to get here, whoever they go after. I think there's probably 4 sitting head coaches who have some level of interest for USC. I think he is definitely one. I think Luke Fickell at Cincinnati is another because, by the way, the guy who used to be his boss at Cincinnati, Mike Bohn, is now USC's AD. Then there's Matt Campbell, who's really done a terrific job at Iowa State. And then the 4th one is another name you know well, and that's James Franklin at Penn State. To me, all those guys have really good situations. And especially in the case of Fickell and Fickell and Campbell, they're really Midwestern, guys from Ohio. Would they want to make that move to a splashier market as it is in Southern California? I mean, James Franklin like I do. You could see him fitting in Southern California. He would play well in the media climate out here. I'm not saying he's going to jump at it necessarily, but his buyout is $4 million right now. If you're Mario, also like the other guys I mentioned, have young kids, they would be uprooting them. He knows the Pac-12 well. I think the question, if you're ultimately Mario Cristobal, is, and by the way, the one job I always thought Mario would have a hard time saying no to is at his alma mater in Miami. I don't know if Mario sits there and looks at the landscape and goes, that job may come open in a year or two.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.